Hello everyone, welcome to History Civics class, and in this class we are going to learn about the factors promoting the growth of nationalism in the national movement. So let's revise what we have learned in the last class. Causes for the rise of national movement. How did this national movement came together? How did they unite themselves? So first one is British policy of economic exploitation. That is nothing but the one-way trade and exporting of the raw material to England and dumping the finished goods in Indian markets, and effects of the great uprising of 1857. As we know that during the uprising of 1857, several leaders have sacrificed their lives for the nation. So it has ignited the feelings of nationalism in the people. British imperialism. Now, the Indians all have realized that the British are here in our country just for their extension of empire, not for the welfare of our people. Next, repressive colonial policies, the annexation of the states, doctrine of lapse, abolition of titles and pensions. All these were the reasons that the Britishers had to install all these repressive policies. And then when the Indian came under the uprising of 1857, to stop this uprising, then the Britishers has to follow a very cruel methodology. Then binding influence of the means of transport and communication. The transport and communication, which was instilled for the sake of the Britishers, now it has started to help the Indians. Indians started to make good use of it to pass the messages from one place to another. It kind of united the people. And one more thing, Western education and thought. This was one of the most important factor that gave an way to national movement. How we already know that they started to impose all this education and their Western thoughts upon us. And the Indians started to learn that the Britishers had themselves removed their kings when they were not taking care of the citizens or the subject or the people of that particular country. So Indian thought that why can't we? Then next one, Indian press and literature. Rabindranath Tagore, Balagangadhar Tilak, all these writers, Anand Bose, all these people came together. They started to utilize literature and press and started to motivate the Indian youth against the Britishers and discovery of India's glorious past. British thought that Indians were supposed to, it was written that the Indians were supposed to be ruled by someone because they are not a good ruler. But the foreign historians themselves brought, throw the light on past of India, that the economic, like Chanakya's Arthashastra, that showed that how good were we. Then socio-religious reform movements. The socio-religious reform movement has given, the main important factor came from socio-religious reform movement. For example, Rajaram Mohan Roy. So he was the one to make the people understand we need to jump into economic development rather than all these. So all these factors had gave a way, paved the way for the national movement. Next one, predecessors of Indian National Congress. Here we have Dada Banerjee, and then Surendranath Banerjee, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tabji, B.C. Chatterjee, Evo Humes, and Lord Dufferin. All these people were the one who, put foundation for the Indian national movement in India. These were the people who were motivated by the uprising of 1857. These were the economical and political thinkers. They wanted the Indian administration in their hands. And let's learn much about the contribution and work done by Dada Banerjee. You know, he was the one to start his first East India Association in England, not in India. He started East India Association in England to discuss the Indian questions. What was the question? The question was why the Indians were not given the rights they deserve. Why have they been deprived of their economical, political, military, and social rights? This was the question that need to be answered by the Britishers. And to influence the British public meant to promote Indian welfare. Actually, according to Dada Banerjee, when he was in England, he understood that whatever the policies that has been followed by these Britishers were not exactly the same in England. The people in England, the Britishers in England were quite kind, very polite, very rightful. But when they came to India, their intention was only imperialism. So they showed immense ruthlessness against the Indians. So he tried to influence the British men to promote Indian welfare. He tried to make them understand that the freedom is the fundamental right of Indians or any man on this planet. So he established the East India Association in England in 1866. Not only that, he organized branches of the associations in prominent Indian cities, many other places in India. He was born in 1825. He devoted his entire life for the national movement and soon became to be known as Grand Old Man of India. He was also India's first economic thinker, and he has written a book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. What is poverty in India and what is causing poverty in India, and how the un-British rule is influencing the economic, political, military and social life. And he also tried to put forward the phrase drain theory. Dada Banerjee was the one to highlight the drain theory, means economic exploitation by the Britishers. And he was able to do this in many of the newspapers, etc. In his writings on economics, he showed that the basic cause of India's poverty lay in the British exploitation of India and the drain of its wealth. How did they exactly drain our wealth? They were taking care of us. How come they do this? As I have told you several times in the previous classes, they try to take raw materials from India and export to England. With the help of the machineries and advance of technologies, they were making cheap goods effortlessly. And where were the market? They were producing the goods in such an abundant amount. Where was the market? They were producing the goods more than they need. What will they do for the remnant goods? They started to search market everywhere, and India was one of the market, the dumping goods, a market for the British companies. So this way, and whatever the raw material was taken from India was duty free, means no taxes had to be paid. And whatever the goods which were dumped in Indian markets had to pay extra taxes when the Indians were buying them. So this way, the drain theory was explained in press and news. And Dada Banerjee was honored by being thrice elected as the president of Indian National Congress. He was elected as a president thrice, not continuously, but with the time gaps. Next one is Ranaut Banerjee. He is a Kolkata originated guy, and the most important of pre-Congress organization was Indian Association of Calcutta. If Dada Banerjee was trying to influence the British people regarding the welfare of India, Ranaut Banerjee was organizing associations in India to help the Indians to get at least administrative rights. He wanted Indians to have their administrative rights. And the younger nationalist of Bengal found leader Surendranath Banerjee, who who was a brilliant writer and orator. He set up an Indian Association in 1876, and with the help of Anand Mohan Bose. These were the younger nationalists of Bengal, and they founded Indian Association of Calcutta. The reason to form this organization was to get a powerful public opinion, to promote the unity of the Indian people, and also to broaden the base of the national movement. And these were their main objective. Their main objective was to organize a powerful public opinion, and then to promote the unity of the Indian people, and finally to broaden the base of the national movement. And it launched agitation against the discriminatory and oppressive acts such as License Act, Arms Act, and Vernacular Press Act. He really agitated against them, because according to all this act, only the Britishers can have the weapon, they can have the license to talk, they can go for the press and literature anyhow they want. But when it came to Indians, it was all like they need to have the license for everything. For the arms, if the Indians want to have arms against, they need to have a license. They want to express their thoughts related to art, politics, economics, they need to have their permission. And Ranaut Banerjee was the first one to raise his voice against all this. And also, in order to attract large number of people into its banner, into his organization, he fixed a very low membership fee so that even the poorer classes can join him. And such associations were established, in towns, villages of Bengal, and many towns outside the Bengal as well. And he also reduced the maximum age for appearing in the Indian Civil Service examination. The regulation of 1876. According to this, he asked the Britishers, he requested or he demanded the Britishers to reduce the maximum age actually. Earlier it was 21. And the Britishers could attempt this examination at the age of 19. For Indians, it was 21. Then it was reduced to 19 years. The Indian Association took up this question and organized an all India agitation against it, popularly known as civil service agitation. And now, next one. All these associations did not really do good actually. It failed to become all India body because we did not have that kind of unity at that moment, and people were afraid of the ruthless ruling of Britishers. Not everyone was brave enough to come forward. All these leaders were really heroes of those times, and even today they are remembered in the history of India. So next one is other political thinkers. There were many other political, for example, Justice Ranaut. Justice Ranaut, Mahadev Govind Ranaut actually, Justice Mahadev Govind Ranaut, and including other, organized Purna Sarvajanik Sabha in 1870. And the next one, V. Virara Gavachari and S. Subramania Iyer, founder, Subramania Iyer was the founder of the Hindu News and the Swadeshi Mitran newspapers. And Ananda Charlu and others formed the Madras Mahajan Sabha in 1884. Feroz Shah Mehta, K.T. Talang, Badruddin Tabji and others formed the Bombay Presidency Association in 1885. And the good thing about this is that it could be the East India Association of 1866 or the Indian Association of Calcutta of 1876 or the Purna Sarvajanik Sabha of 1870 and the Madras Mahajan Sabha of 1884 and Bombay Presidency Association of 1885, all together with the help of retired member of Indian Civil Service, A.O. Hume, with the help of him and also with the permission of the Viceroy of that time, Lord Dufferin, they were able to find the Indian National Congress. Now, why there was a need of Indian National Congress? Why there was a need of All India organization? Why everyone had to come together? So there is an example that if you take one stick, it is really easy to break. If you take bundles of sticks, you cannot break them that easily. So the same thing, all this organization in Bombay, thereafter Gujarat, Calcutta, Bengal, England, all these associations were scattered. They did not have their one origin. So All India organization was a must. So with the help of A.O. Hume, we were able to form Indian National Union actually. First it was called as Indian National Union. So what were the factors led to the foundation of Indian National Congress or Indian National Union? The unjust administration of the British in India and the policy of racial discrimination followed by the Britishers led to the discontentment among the Indians against the British rule. They also created political conscience among the Indians and strengthened the spirit of patriotism and nationalism. And as all of us know, when it comes to political consciousness, Rajram Mohan Roy was the one to form this. Everybody, some people were running after the socio-religious causes, and some were running after the military causes. Some people were running after the political economic causes. But Rajram Mohan Roy was the one to bring everyone's attention to economic causes, because that was the main thing that was affecting really badly the India. And at this time, we really needed to unite. And Rajram Mohan Roy was the one to unite us. So he started to create political consciousness among the Indians. And several leaders like W.C. Banerjee, Jyotiba Phule, and our Umesh Chandra Banerjee, and after that Feroz Shah Mehta, Justice Ranaut, many other like that, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, all these people came together and formed political organization. And at that particular time, this was the common need of that hour. That was the fundamental need of that hour. They needed a common platform where everybody can stand together. So the political conscious Indians were becoming aware of the need of All India organization now. This would provide a common forum for the meeting of nationalists and the formulation of the common program of activity. For example, Surendranath Banerjee was agitating against the License Act, Arms Act, then a civil service examination regulations and everything, and some other way around. Someone other were trying to get their administrative rights. Someone was trying to get their military rights. Someone was trying to get their job. So all were fighting on different platform, but this economical consciousness brought everyone under the same platform. Not only that, it would also carry on the work of public education in order to create a broad-based freedom struggle. We need to understand what we are fighting against. For example, coronavirus. If we do not know what we are fighting against, we cannot opt for the precautions, nor we can opt for the solution. We need to know what exactly the problem is. So the public education was mandatory. People were supposed to be aware of what they were fighting against, why they were fighting for their freedom. So in order to have this, broad-based freedom struggle, it was mandatory and it was very fundamental to, educate the public regarding the agitation. and then the great Indian leaders with Evo Hume. And while the Indians leaders like Surendranath Banerjee, Dada Banerjee, Feroz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tabji, Justice Ranaut, etc., were moving towards the formation of all India political body, that was Indian National Congress. Hume, Evo Hume, he was a retired member of Indian Civil Service. Okay, he played a very important role in the foundation of Indian National Congress. Actually, he supported, hasn't, his support hasn't the birth of the Indian National Congress. It means it tied that grip, where we wanted to have our all India organization. It is must and should we really need to have. So that is why he is considered the father of Indian National Congress. He was the one to understand the ill treatment shown towards the Indians. He knew that Indians were supposed to be treated. Yes, the Britishers are, trying to expand their empire in India. They're trying to form their colonies in India. At the same time, they have to take care of the Indians. That was really, really mandatory. But they were not doing that. So Evo Hume tried to hasten that, that grip, the birth of Indian National Congress actually. So Evo Hume, he was a retired member of Indian Civil Service, and he was called as the father of Indian National Congress. He helped, what exactly, he wanted to set up an organization that would draw the government's attention towards the administrative drawbacks and how to improve them. As I told you, though the Britishers were ruling India, but at the same time they had to give some administrative rights, political, economical, military rights to the Indian, because they are ruling our land. But it was not done at that moment. So Evo Hume wanted to set up an organization where these rights were given to the Indians. And he also, beside that, he also, he helped the Indians to develop themselves intellectually, socially, and politically. He wanted the Indians to understand, to come up intellectually, to come up with ideas, thoughts, new views, opinions. And socially, they need to, socially, why he emphasized on socially? Because the Britishers were successfully able to put gap between the Hindu and Muslims. We were antisocial at that time. So Evo Hume emphasized on becoming more sociable to each other, because, if we united, we could win. And politically in a sense, like all the defense was under the hands of the Britishers. All the economic rights were, political rights were under the hands of the Britishers. So Evo Hume made us understand that the politics plays a very important part in our life, in one's country. So he tried to make the Indians understand that unless they have these political rights, they cannot win over the Britishers. And he wanted to do that. He wanted to draw government's attention towards the welfare of the Indian. And on March 1st, 1883, he had written a letter to graduates, the youth of Calcutta University, imploring or requesting them to dedicate themselves to service of the people. He told that you youth are the one who can fight better. I know youth is sometimes impulsive. They do not think before they act, and because of that reason, there were so many ruthless riots in India because of the impulsiveness of the youth. But at the same time, he requested them to be united. And that's why so many universities were taken under the Britishers, because they understood that is the place where this all nationalism pouring out. So he requested the graduates of Calcutta University to dedicate themselves to the service of the people. Next one. So next one is the foundation of Indian National Union with the help of Evo Hume. How did they finally started their own organization, the Indian National Union? First it was considered as the Indian National Union. Later on, Dada Banerjee suggested the name of union to change to Indian National Congress. So how exactly it came to an well-defined organization. And This appeal produced the desired result. Whatever, like as I told you, on March 1883, Hume requested the Indians to, to dedicate themselves to the service of the people. It came off really well. The appeal produced a good desired result. So in 1884, Hume, in consultation with Indian leaders like Ranaut Banerjee, then Umesh Banerjee, and thereafter Dada Banerjee, Feroz Shah Mehta, and many other, with the help of all these leaders, Indian leaders, Hume laid the foundation of Indian National Union in 1884. So, and after that, a conference of representatives of the different part of India. There were all around 72 leaders who attended this meeting, actually conference. Actually 72 were those were the presidents of 72 different organization from different part of our country. And it was actually first decided to have this conference on 25th of December 1885. But at that time, a plague broke out in Pune. So the meeting of this union was held at Bombay from December 28 to 31st in 1885. And W.C. Banerjee was the first president of Indian National Union. And then Dada Banerjee suggested to change it to Indian National Congress. The foundation of all India organization, the Indian National Congress, was laid on December 28, 1885. Very important question. Many a times it has been asked in many of the examinations. So it's kind of very important. So please make all these remarks really well. Take these points really well. And in order to, as we already know, all the whatever you want to do in India under the rule of Britishers, you had to take Britishers permission. And thank God at that time, Lord Dufferin was a viceroy. Just imagine if it was Neil or any Lytton or anybody else at that time. Do you think we would have got this right to have our own organization? I don't think so, because the way how clearly they have managed to, repress the uprising of 1857, I do not think like they would have allowed to have this organization. But it was our good luck that the viceroy Lord Dufferin was viceroy at that time. So he favored the foundation because he wanted it to act as a safety valve against discontentment. He thought that, again, if the British do not accept this organization, then there would be a way, one more portal, a valve or one more portal for uprising, second uprising in India. So, and after this, you can see first picture, W.C. Banerjee, and then these are the predecessors of Indian National Congress. Dada Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Feroz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tabji, W.C. Banerjee. He was the first president. He was the first president of Indian National Congress. A.O. Hume, a retired member of Indian Civil Service, who helped the Indians to understand, to have an organization. Lord Dufferin, who was viceroy at that time. And this foundation of Indian National Congress was the most remarkable event in the history of India, and all these heroes were the reason for this remarkable history in India. A new race of the Indians, inspired with new ideas and thrilled by the vision of New India, came together and started a movement which attained its goal in about 6 years, and it took them around 6 years to have their goal. And the people started to really, the Britishers started to think about the welfare. If they do not, they understood that there will be a great uprising one more time. And for the first time, political unity was sponsored not by the foreign government. This organization had nothing to do with the Britishers. Only Indians were involved in it. And these are the people, strong-hearted, forward-looking sons of our motherland. And the Congress expressed the hopes and aspiration of these people of India. And freedom movement, these were the one to ignite the freedom movement against British rule in India and achieve freedom finally in 1947. So why did they do this? Why they wanted to have this organization? What was the intention of having this organization in this time? And what was the objectives? Objectives means what they really wanted from this organization. They wanted, the first session of Indian National Congress was held in Bombay in December 1885, as we know, and it started from 28th to 31st December. And W.C. Banerjee was the first president. In this presidential address, he declared, these following objectives of Indian National Congress. When he was addressing the gathering, he told them that these are the objectives, this is what we want, and this is what we fight for. First one, to promote friendly relations between the nationalist political workers from different parts of the country. So it could be like from south to north, east to west, any part of the country, any nook or cranny of our country. If anybody comes with the leadership quality and they are ready to fight against the Britishers for the Indian freedom, then they must have friendly relations. We should not create gap between ourselves. If we cannot stop fighting, within ourselves, then how will we fight against British? So this was the first objective of Indian National Congress, that to promote friendly relation between the nationalist or political workers. Any leader coming from any nook or cranny of India must have this unity. And next one, to develop and consolidate the feelings of national unity irrespective of religious beliefs, color or creed. Anybody can come up from any part of the India. Anybody can fight against Britishers. Anybody can fight for their motherland. He should not be discriminated upon the view of his beliefs. If he is a Muslim, he cannot join the army. He is a Hindu, he cannot join the army. No color. You are white, you are dark, you are British, you are blonde, nobody will question you. Nobody will question you about your creed. Anybody can join this Indian National Congress. Then the third one, to formulate popular demands and place them before the government. And one thing about this National Congress was that they used to, put forward petition, then recommendation, memorandums. They used to request the Britishers to do their work. And 90% of times the Britishers used to, just rebuke them, then stop them, cancel them. So they used to, they whatever their needed demands are there, that like fundamental demands, they used to place them before the government. And train and organize the public opinion of India, of the country of India. So they used to train, they used to make others understand. It can be the youth, it can be the common people, it can be women, men, anybody. They always trying to have an organized public opinion. They wanted to speak one voice. Freedom of our nation. They always wanted to have their one thing. So the Congress held its session every year after that, and they always held their these sessions every year, meeting, conference in December in big towns and all. They used to meet every once in a year to chalk out program to achieve its aim. That was the fundamental freedom. That was the fundamental need of that particular hour. So they used to meet in every year in December to plan out and program, to achieve their aims. So the first session of the Congress was held under the presidentship of W.C. Banerjee at Mumbai, and it was attended by, as I told you, 72 delegates, including such like laureates like Dada Banerjee, Feroz Shah Mehta, K.T. Talang, Badruddin Tabji, G.S. Iyer, M.G. Mahadev Govind Ranade, Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade, and many others. And the second session of the Congress was held at Calcutta in 1886 under the presidency of Dada Banerjee. And the third session was held at Madras under the presidency of Badruddin Tabji in 1887. And the fourth session was held at Allahabad with the presidency of George Yule in 1888. Then the fifth was in Bombay, and under the William Wedderburn it was held in 1885. Then sixth session was held at Calcutta in 1890 under the presidency of Firozja Mehta, and in seventh session was held by 1891 and the president was Anand Charlo. We have already spoken about him. And in 8th 1897 Umesh Chandra Banerjee. Then Dada Banerjee one more time. As I told you, he had become president of Indian National Congress thrice. So this is the second time, the 9th president. And after that, all these, and in today's era, in 2020, Sonia Gandhi is the president of Indian National Congress actually, and the previous one was Rahul Gandhi. So please take the notes properly and try to get some information from internet as well, from Google or YouTube. There are several videos related to this, and try to get the dates, and every 4 points mandatory. Okay, so thank you so much. Here we end up our second chapter, and we are going to go for the programs and achievements of the early nationalists. So early nationalists are no one but all these are early nationalists. So what were their program and achievement? How did they try to achieve what their objectives were? Okay, how did they achieve their objectives? So these are the presidents, and we are going to learn about their achievement and program in the next class. Thank you so much.